Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you can learn to make more money in less time and have more fun. I'm the founder of Contractor Staffing Source, which is where contractors go to build great teams. I have a guest with me, Stephen Christopher. I'll get this right. And who are you with, Stephen? What's the name of your company?
I'm the founder of Wit Digital.
Okay, cool. So tell me a little about Wit Digital and what they do.
Sure. So, Wit Digital is a digital marketing agency. We specialize in search engine optimization, paid advertising, website design and development, brand building. And we work pretty much exclusively in the home service or the contractor space. And I've been doing that for just about a decade now.
Wow, I guess you're one of the older guys doing this, right? It's been around not that long.
Yeah, yeah. And I did own an agency prior to Wit Digital. So I've been in this space since 2006.
Wow. Create a lot of that stuff. So I have a question that comes up a lot from contractors, and that is, should I spend money on SEO? Should I spend money on, like, one is building brand and one is, pay per click and that kind of thing. How much money should I spend? Where should I spend it? Do you have any opinion on, what ratio you should have on spending one to the other, or which is better? And how much should you, so let's say I'm a $3 million contractor. How much money should I spend to begin with?
Yeah, so I mean, a nice healthy advertising budget is around 8%. If you're really streamlined and dialed in, you can be closer to like 6%, 5%. If you are being extremely aggressive about growth, you can get up into that like 10 to 12% of total revenue for marketing. And then of that total marketing budget, you should be spending anywhere between about 50 and 80% on digital. The other parts is like postcards, mailers, band wraps, stuff like that. But somewhere over 50% should be for digital. And then as far as where to spend it depends on the company and what your objectives are. But everybody in theory should be spending money on search engine optimization or organic leads, because once you get really good SEO going, the quantity and the quality of those leads are going to be the highest that you can get. When you get into paid advertising is a great way to help build brand a little bit more, help keep your competition from grabbing existing clients from you through things like pay per click and stuff like that. And it's a great little way to put the gas pedal down when let's say you have a 5 truck operation right now and you want to go to 7 and you want to do it quickly. Some big company down the road went out of business. You got 2 guys that you can bring on, or they call you, Paul, and they say, hey, find me 2 new people. You find them really quick, and now they need to grow. So that's really where you can start to use paid advertising to strategically grow into the business. One thing you want to be careful of is don't get caught in, we call it pay-per-click crack. A lot of companies have grown through just doing like Google ads and pay-per-click, and it works, but you end up spending a lot of money. And then when you have 2 or 3 big competitors that come into the market and start spending a lot on it, your lead source either dries up or you can't afford to keep up that bidding strategy where maybe you were paying $100 a lead. Now you might have to pay 200 or 220. So just be really careful as far as getting into that. But everybody should be doing SEO. It's the highest quantity and highest quality. It just takes some time to actually start to pay off and give you an ROI.
So let's say I've got a company, I haven't spent much on marketing. I've decided, okay, I want to do some marketing now. And I'm not willing, I'm not willing to spend, no, in percent. I'm doing, 2 million, not going to spend 200,000 on advertising. It's not going to happen. I'm going to spend 50,000 or something like that. I've got a website. It's like, okay. I've tried a little, pay-per-click. I've tried some Google ads, not so good. And I'm just sort of wondering, where do I go? I'm not killing it, but at the same time, I could certainly use some more leads. So you're my, new agency or my coach. What kind of moves should I make?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking at a smaller budget like that, you're probably so there's 2 basically resources that you have as a company, right? You have time and you have money. And
Right.
if your money is short, which 50,000 for a $2 million company that wants to grow, your money is short, but you have time on your hands. And so what I would probably say is look back and what are the things that you were doing when you were a 500,000 to $1 million company that were getting you business? Were you going out to local events? Were you sponsoring the little league team? Were you, you know, doing fundraisers? Were you doing nonprofit work? You know, were you showing up in the community? Were you on like the Facebook neighborhood groups and the next door neighborhood groups, answering questions and helping people and stuff
Right.
like that? It's funny. The things that get us to the next step are often the things that we kind of just stop doing because we're like, ah, you know, it takes more time now. Now I got to sit behind a
Right.
keyboard and look at spreadsheets all day. But those are the things that can be extremely valuable and they don't necessarily cost a lot of money. So, you know, you have to be willing to either put more money in, and if you don't have it, you have to be willing to put the time in because that, you know, that 2 million to $3 million range is a there's a lot of growing pains that come in there. But if you can push through those, you can, you know, once you get to five, it's easy to get to eight and nine. Um,
Right.
so that's one thing that I would tell people to do. And then if you're just looking for like, where do I put my money? It depends on how much you need leads. If you're truly dying out there, then you're probably going to have to put it into some sort of a paid advertising like Google local service ads. We can talk more about that if you want. It's a type of pay per click, but Google made this just for contractors. It's a pay per lead, so your cost is going to be a little bit lower. Lead quality is going to be a little bit higher than pay per click. That would be a good resource. And as much as I hate to say some of these words, if you don't have a lot of money to put in, um, you know, Home Advisor and Angie's List, I don't love them. I know all the issues with them, but they are inexpensive. And if you can stay on top of the leads when they come in, it can be a way to at least start getting some revenue in the door so that then you can start investing in other ways. If you have good business coming in and you only want to spend 50 grand, I would put it towards SEO. You know, if you already have a decent amount of lead flow coming in from like existing clients, then great. Now's a great time to start investing in SEO. And then last thing I'd probably say is, you know, 50 grand, um, depending on your demographic, maybe some mailers, make sure that you're staying in touch with your existing clients, have somebody in your office do outbounding, you know, and give them a little spiff on every person that they get booked or every referral that they get. I would get a little more creative with it if you had a budget like that, because you know SEO and pay per click and stuff can get expensive, but it is important that everybody's doing SEO or at least has their site set on that and have a line item they're building in the budget.
Now, how do I tell my SEOs, or if I go on Google and I say um, roofing contractor or HVAC contractor, right? Do I go on my computer, look and say, I'm looking for a roofing contractor in Nashville, Tennessee, and hit search? Do I need to come up on the first page? If I come on the first page, I'm good, I'm done. Or not? So that's a good, how do you answer
Uh,
that question?
say the last part of the question again. We lost your internet
How
for a
do I
second.
know what? Okay, sorry about that. How do I know whether my SEO is good or not? If I'm on the first page of Google and if I put in looking for, you know, a roofing contractor in Nashville, if I'm on the first page, am I done? Or do I have
Got it.
to do better than that?
Yeah, so here's how you measure SEO. So a true SEO agency should be able to set up tracking so that they know every phone call that came in from an organic search. And that the number of leads should be consistently going up, you know, at least the same month compared to the same month previous year, right? So year over year, because we all know that, you know, a lot of service businesses are have some trends into them. So the number of leads coming from organic should consistently be going up. That's the real telltale about what you should be looking at. Then kind of the next layer, which you're alluding to, is how do you keep your agency a little more accountable, especially if you're concerned about the results that they're giving? Because ultimately, it's not your job to go out and figure out which keywords get the most search volume. You know, where do we currently rank? What's our strategy for getting you to rank those? It's okay to pay attention to those, but that's where a lot of people get messed up. Like, you're hiring an agency that should know how to do those things in order to drive more phone calls. So the phone calls should be the number one thing that you're looking at. And that way your agency can't hide behind some other metrics and say, yeah, like you're doing a great job. And you're looking at your call board going, I'm dying here.
I mean, they
And
may
so,
say, well, you had, X thousand visitors or whatever, but the truth is, I'm I'm getting less phone calls than I got last year, and I only get, pick a number, 2 calls a week off my website, right?
yeah.
So how do and I look on page one, it looks like I'm on page one, with all my competitors. How come I'm only getting 2 phone calls a week? Is there a way to find out?
Yeah, I mean, so it could just be you're searching one keyword that doesn't get, all the search volume out there. That could be one of the issues. So, I mean, a lot of our accounts, we track maybe about 100 primary keywords for an average client. So there's obviously a lot of other keywords you want to be ranking for than just kind of that one primary one. So that would be
Mhm.
one thing. And then secondly, if you are getting an increase in traffic to the website from your geographic area, that's a very important part, right? Like a lot of agencies just show, hey, you got 2,000 visitors to your website last month. That doesn't matter because a lot of that traffic comes from India and Russia and China and spam and bots and other cities. So if your traffic to the website for your geographic area, which a lot of times as a litmus test, we just use like the state. So you said Nashville, cool, like Tennessee, right? Like how many
Right.
visitors are coming from Tennessee? And then is that number going up? And if that number is going up and you're not getting more phone calls, then the probably one of the most likely things is either your website kind of stinks. People are going to the website and they're not finding the answers to the questions. Do you service my area? How long is it going to take you to get out here? Do I have social proof? Are you showcasing reviews? Can I trust you? Some of those basic things. Um, or you have a crappy reputation. If you have 50 Google reviews and a 3.7 rating, and all of your competition has 300 reviews and a 4.9 rating, you can rank first on Google, but you're going to miss almost all of that if you have a bad reputation.
And your reputation is determined by your Google reviews. Is that how you tell?
That's a really quick, easy way to tell. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it as far as like just how does your brand show up in the community? How does your company show up in the community? But I mean, yeah, if you want a real quick test, go look at like Google reviews. Yelp is a little hit and miss depending on which state you're in. Yelp is always a little bit lower, but yeah, Google reviews is a great one. I mean, Google your service in your city, see who, and then go to Maps and see who all shows up and check out how many reviews and what's their average rating. And that's a good way to tell where you stand in the pack.
Okay. Let's say my rating isn't what I want it to be. How would you help me change that?
Um, the only thing we can really do with that is give you ideas, right? Because it's your responsibility uh, to go out and make sure that you guys are asking the clients for reviews. So, there's a lot of good softwares out there. Service Titan has one built in. There's tons of like review aggregator softwares, meaning like after you complete a job, the software will send a text and an email to the person and says, hey, did you have a great service with us? And if so,
Right.
would you mind leaving us a review? That's really it. I mean, the only other piece to that is if you have a couple really bad reviews that are truly fake, it's a bot, it's one of your competitors, I mean, you just know it's kind of BS. We would submit to Google to get those removed. And, we have a pretty decent chance. I mean, probably 50-50. If they're truly fake, we can get those taken off. But, you know, the ultimate answer is go out and get a lot more reviews. If
That's some good ones,
it,
right?
yeah.
So can you give me maybe a success story of where you worked with a client and I, whatever HVAC company, roofing, some company you work with and made a big difference and why?
Yeah, I can give a lot of those stories. Let's think of one. So, yeah, we had a company in Salt Lake. They were probably about, I don't know, 3 or 4 million when they came on to us. They were way overspending in pay-per-click. Their pay-per-click account through the old agency was just completely mismanaging it. They were paying, hundreds and hundreds of dollars per lead. but it was kind of the only lead source that they had. So they had to keep pouring more money into it. And the agency wasn't giving them enough data to actually know how quality were the phone calls, where were they coming from, how do we take what's working and do more of it. They just knew they were spending a lot of money and they were getting a certain amount of phone calls. And so we came in and we were able to get that pay-per-click account really cleaned up, start tracking better data. We built them a new website, we started doing SEO, and we got them a lot of first page rankings for HVAC and plumbing and electrical. And fast forward, I think three or 4 years, they were over 20 million, and they ended up making an exit. And that was a great story. And we're still friends with them. They still refer business to us, and they're even doing like some coaching and stuff to try to help others kind of shortcut that learning curve.
Okay. What are the common mistakes people make in SEO that they can see or should be aware of?
It's hard because there's so many mistakes that you can make, and most agencies that I see that are doing it incorrectly or not getting a result, it's not necessarily that they're doing like black hat tactics. That was kind of a thing of like 5, 10, 15 years ago. Like you would do these black hat things and you would just cross your fingers that you wouldn't get caught in an algorithm update. Now it's more that they're just lazy. They don't want to do all of the basic things right to truly prove to Google that their client is more relevant than the other 10 people on the first page, and then eventually getting Google to rank it. So I guess I would say, what would you watch out for? I would get ranking reports from your agency every month and make sure that those keywords that have search volume, that you are consistently starting to move up. And there's really no other exception to it. Like if you haven't moved any of your keyword rankings in 3 months, and they just keep saying, well, we're trying, that's kind of that's it. I mean,
But what does
you're
it
going to
look
have to
like?
make a different decision.
What does a keyword ranking report look like?
So a keyword ranking report would look like this. When you sign on with an SEO agency, what they should do is they should do some market research. They should ask you, cool, what cities and towns do you want to do business in? And what are your primary services that you want to offer? They'll go back. Google will tell us information when we say, whatever, roofing contractor Nashville, right? So we'll be
Right.
able to pull information from Google directly that says, here's how many people search for roofer Nashville. Here's how many people search for roofing company Nashville. Here's how many people search for, best roofer Nashville. All of these different keywords, and they should go in and do that research, and then they should compile a list of, 50 to 100, maybe 25 to 100 is a kind of a healthy number of highly searched keywords. Now they take that list, they run it through a piece of software. There's tons of softwares out there that do this, and it will basically simulate a search on Google, and it will come back and say, okay, roofer Nashville, you rank 29th, right? Another roofing term, you rank 16th, right? Which would be like the middle of the second page and the bottom of the third page. So that ranking report should get updated, at least once a month. It's fine to update it once a week or something like that, but it's kind of like stocks. You don't want to put your money in the stock market and then go and watch it every day, because it'll drive you crazy. Because some days it's going to go down 2, up 3, down 1, up 4, down 5, up 6. It's very much like that. So you want to look at that ranking report at least once a month to make sure that there are positive trends on those highly searched keywords. And that's kind of how you gauge initially if they're doing a good job. But come back to, once you've been with an agency for several months, they should really be putting some emphasis and some transparency and reporting on how many calls are actually getting driven from what they're doing.
Okay. So if I have an agency or I'm working with somebody and I want a second opinion, can you provide that for somebody?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big part of, I don't do a lot of the day-to-day in the business. And so I actually spend a lot of my time helping educate, helping do evaluations and stuff like that, because I hate to see people waste their money. And I hate that whole unknown, right? Like a lot of
I
people are
I
scared of
wouldn't say
marketing
that
agencies.
marketing in the construction industry has about as good a reputation as construction does the construction industry, right? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, right. I mean,
both of them are
I hate to
suffering
say it.
from, it's not, contractors tend to be known as not the most honest guys in the world. And same thing with marketing agencies. I don't know where they're at.
Yeah,
We say they deserve it, but it seems to be out there, right?
yeah,
So if I'm a little skeptical, can I have you look at my stuff without telling my current guy or not? How does that all work? Can I
yeah.
say, look at,
Yeah, so I'll Paul, I'll either give you my email or you already have it, and I'm assuming you'll put it somewhere in the notes. But
good.
yeah, if somebody has questions and they just aren't sure and they just want a second opinion, I will happily do it. And my commitment is always there's no sales pitch. We're not going to try to convince you to leave. I'm just going to tell you things that they're doing well and areas of opportunity for improvement. And that's it.
Okay.
I want people to, I hate that marketing agencies don't have a great reputation. And I want to try to detract from that a little bit if I can.
Okay. So if people want to reach you, Stephen, and say, okay, I don't know what I don't know. And I think that's true for a lot of contractors.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't got a clue. He made bad job, good job. I can't tell. And unfortunately, it's like you having the chicken or was a wolf watch the hen house. I mean, I don't know what I don't know. So if they say you're doing great, I haven't got any phone calls, but they said doing everything they can, so it must be okay. And let's say I just have a hint of, well, maybe I need a second opinion. How would they get a hold of you to get that second opinion?
Yeah. So best is, I mean, you can go to our website and just fill out the form on the website, say that you heard me on this show, or you can just email me directly, Stephen, Stephen at wit, delivers.com. And I'll get back to you. I'll take a look at the site, make some, like I said, make some suggestions. I'll call out any areas of opportunity for improvement, and then I'll tell you a couple things that you're actually doing well too.
Okay. I think unless your, web person is your nephew, your wife, whatever, right? I think it would be appropriate to occasionally just get an outside opinion, like Stevens, and say, well, I've had these guys for a year, 2 years, 6 months. I'm not sure they're perfect. So getting an occasional outside opinion, I think is just best practice. Just to say,
Yeah, I agree.
and he might say they're awesome or they're not. But most of people listening to this podcast don't know what they don't know about their marketing. They hired some agency, they hope it's working, and the agencies tell them they're doing great. They wouldn't say anything else, and they really don't know. So if you want that second opinion, I would give Stephen a call because I think we all need that at least once a year. So thank you, Stephen. I really
Awesome.
appreciate you being here. I think it's a great service, and I think anybody who's spending money on marketing should at least get a second opinion from you.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
Okay, thanks for being here, Stephen. Appreciate your time.